the best example. This is a great example. Here's Jimmy Dore coming to the rescue of Donald Trump. Who is Ray Epps? Now, holy shit. We've done the whole Ray Epps story. We've talked about this nonsense. Ray Epps is the guy that the hold on, god damn it, slide up there. The Republicans are like, this is the guy who was like the maggot whisperer. He went up, he was an FBI plant, and he went up and he whispered in one guy's, and there was never going to be a fight, and he whispered in this guy's ear, and that guy immediately attacked because Epps is a hypnotist. And why was he taken off the FBI's list and all that? Like, we've covered this shit. That's kind of the point. This was a talking point a fucking year ago. Epps called right after the January 6th and was like, I didn't say shit to that guy. I told him the cops were just doing their job. And they got the guy who attacked him, and they said, what'd Ray Epps say to you? And Ray Epps said, don't overreact. The cops are just doing their job. They're like, it's just fucking dumb. The night before, he was like, we're going to have to go to the Capitol. But when he got to the Capitol, he's like, oh, these motherfuckers are going to go to the fucking Capitol. And that's not what he was talking about, so he tried to talk the dude down. He was a Trump fan, but he was like, well, go up there and make a lot of noise, but don't beat up any cops. And then they were like beating up the cops. The guy's like, cool it, don't beat up cops. These are our, cops are, we're pro-cop. And then the guy went and attacked cops anyways. And they're like, he's the one who made him do it. It's so dumb. But this should give you an example of the storyline. This is how bad it is going, for all these folks. Now, we got a couple of things today. We got some Real America's Voice just fucking going into La La Land to support this dude. Devin Nunes, this, again, the whole Danchenko Durham thing is also, sort of smoke. They're just throwing that against the wall. We'll deal with Don Jr., but first I want to deal with this a little bit. This is Jimmy Dore's take on his Ukraine war takes. The dude has a fucking Larouchian on as his expert now all the time. And he's had Aaron Mate on, and Kurt Metzger buys into whatever the fuck. Honest to God, I don't know what Kurt Metzger's politics are. I don't know that Kurt Metzger knows. He seems to be like a Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan / MAGA fan who hates the left for not doing enough. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyways, this is the story is Ukraine war planned years ago, documents reveal. So obviously I'm going to learn something. Documents are going to reveal that the Ukraine war was planned all along by, and I'm assuming,
sales teams have it tough.
They do.
The pressure to hit their numbers keeps rising.
Damn, that's loud. Sorry. Great. I'm covering the audio on this. It's playing in my ear, but you don't have to hear it. Can I get past this, please? So easy. Just work out of your kitchen. It's lovely. All right, here we go. This is
So I wanted to tell you about, there's the RAND Corporation.
Yes, there is the RAND Corporation. That's a fact. And so the RAND Corporation created the Iraq War, or I mean the Ukraine War.
You know what the RAND Corporation is, right? So they're the ones who do all.
Yeah, they're Rand Paul's corporation that he made up to give himself an award.
The dirty work for the government. They're the ones who had.
Jesus, it is loud. Why is it? Look at that. It's half. See, I do not trust the faders on the internet.
The Pentagon Papers that got stolen by Daniel Ellsberg, and then he released them, and it blew the roof off the Vietnam War that we'd been lied to by 4 successive administrations. Caitlin Johnson tweets out.
Oh, Caitlin Johnson. I know Caitlin Johnson. Hold on one second. Caitlin. By the way, remember a little bit ago, I was like, this is Jimmy's Ukraine whisperer. Okay, hold on one second. This is fun. Caitlin Johnstone, right? Yeah. let's see. Russia won't invade. There you go. Because a lot of people. Where'd you go? Yeah, there we go. Where's the somebody will post this. Hold on. I'll find the photo of it because somebody had to yeah, so this is what Caitlin Johnstone tweeted on February 18th regarding the Russia invasion. I want you to promise me you'll completely revise your worldview and drastically change your media consumption habits when March gets here and the invasion still hasn't happened. And since then, she's just been all up in Russia had a reason to do this and it was all fine in the first place and who gives a shit, and she's just awful. Her take on it is fucking gross. I feel like we don't talk about the fact that 2019 study commissioned by the U.S. Army found that the U.S. could advance its geostrategic interest in Eurasia by baiting Russia into overextending itself in wars against U.S. proxies in Ukraine and elsewhere. So is that the report?
I feel like we don't talk enough about the fact that the 2019 study commissioned by the U.S. Army.
Yeah, you don't talk enough about it. You know what we don't talk about enough of either? The fact that Caitlin Johnstone was berating people for thinking that, especially the Biden administration, for saying, yeah, Russia's going to attack. And by the way, keep this in your mind. She feels like they don't talk about this idea that it was a fait accompli that the U.S. Army was going to bait Russia into a war in 2019 under Trump. And that's, we'll see if he actually brings up the text of this as opposed to her take on it. I would love to see that. Maybe we will. But that she also believed back in February that this 2019 study wasn't going to happen or some shit.
Found that the U.S. could advance its geostrategic interests in Eurasia by baiting Russia into overextending itself.
Oh, that's what they're doing. They're overextending themselves. That's the problem with Chechens and Chechen and Wagner rape squads and the mutilation of prisoners of war and stuff like that. You get so caught up in it, you're overextended.
In wars against U.S. proxies.
I'm sorry? In wars against U.S. whatsies?
Proxies in Ukraine and elsewhere. So you're not going to hear Ali Velshi bring this up.
Yeah, you're not going to see Ali Velshi bring this up. Why won't you see Ali Velshi bring this up, Jimmy? Because he's a warmonger who wants people to die. He's just that kind of a guy. It's probably his Muslim upbringing. You're right.
As he manufactures consent for war.
He manufactures consent for war. In Russia or?
And says he's not.
He's not. He just isn't.
This is the paper.
Extending Russia, Competing from Advantageous Ground by James Dobbins, Raphael Cohen, Nathaniel Chandler, Brian Frederick, published by the RAND Corporation in Santa Monica 2019.
Extending Russia, competing for advantageous ground. Competing from advantageous ground.
Doesn't matter.
Recognizing that some level of competition with Russia is inevitable.
Yeah. Because they tend to attack people.
RAND researchers conducted a qualitative assessment of cost-imposing options that could unbalance and overextend Russia.
We didn't just why didn't the RAND Corporation just go straight to nuke them?
Such cost-imposing options could place new burdens on Russia, ideally heavier burdens than would be imposed on the United States for pursuing those options. The exact opposite's happening.
Oh, this is the whole, they're not feeling the sanctions, we are, is what Jimmy thinks right now. Uh-huh. Yeah, I know, because right now the U.S. is having to get the Blackwater guys to recruit rapists to fight on behalf of Ukraine.
Russia's doing better than ever. The West, the United States, is having high inflation, high gas prices, energy.
Yeah, Russia doesn't have any problems. Hold on one second. Russia's doing better than ever. This is one of my better than ever. Well, in all fairness to Jimmy, I think they are doing better than ever, considering their, if you consider their behavior, that it is better than ever that they are on a path to oblivion. Ukraine military gains could deepen Russia's economic problems. What do you mean deepen? Russia doesn't have any economic problems. What are you, drunk? Let's see. The Economist Intelligence Unit is projecting a Russian GDP contraction of 6.2% this year and 4.1% next year, which its global forecasting director, Agatha Demarize, told CNBC is huge by both historical and international standards. Ukraine's counter, which is, by the way, why Russia is buying artillery shells from North Korea and Iranian drones. Here's the thing. Turkey is a NATO country, but Turkey is also playing footsie with Russia. It's trying to have it both ways. But in this battle, the only one, Turkey's drones, the ones that, the Bayraktars that they've been using that were pivotal, especially in the beginning, and that they are modifying and up-arming specifically for the Ukrainian fight, is one of the most devastating things that's happened to the Russian military. Now, Jimmy does not read anything that doesn't reinforce his belief system. He won't. And his belief system is that Ukraine is full of Nazis, and any evidence to the contrary, which includes the mutilation deaths of children in Bucha and other areas by hand by the Russians. We're not talking about an errant missile or the blowing up of a civilian building that either side is using for military support, or the human shields argument, or any of that shit. We're talking about Russian military conscript soldiers, Wagner Group people, and Chechens that are fighting with the Russians, carving up people's genitals and their eye sockets while they're alive. And Jimmy thinks that that's the group and that's not even debatable. Like, they brag about it. If you look at the Russian Telegram channels, it'll make you throw up. And Jimmy thinks those are the people that should be winning this.
Energy prices, imposing deeper trade and financial sanctions would likely degrade the Russian economy, especially if such sanctions are comprehensive and multilateral.
By the way, there's no such thing as suck sanctions, no matter how much Jimmy wishes there were.
Thus, their effectiveness will depend on the willingness of other countries to join in such a process.
Yes, all the European countries joined in.
But sanctions come with costs, and depending on their severity, considerable risks.
Risks? Why do I always feel like he reads like he's reading to a class of first graders on, like, I don't know, Childless Father Day?
Providing lethal aid to Ukraine would exploit Russia's greatest point of external vulnerability. But any increase in U.S. military arms and advance to Ukraine would need to be carefully calibrated to increase the cost to Russia of sustaining its existing. So do you see what Rand?
No, finish what you're saying, because he's bailing out on this because this is the mitigatory part. Because the Rand Corporation, that's all they fucking do. The Rand Corp, they game out whether or not China's going to invade Taiwan. They gamed out what happened in Hong Kong. They game out what if the Chinese invade Vietnam again.
They're laying out what we did.
No, they're not. They're so far in what you've read, fuckwad. They're going, there's this and there's this and there's this and there's this. And if we're going to deal with this, this is one of the ways that they would have to do it. And he's specifically cherry picking other elements because he's focusing on the Ukraine, providing lethal aid to Ukraine, which, by the way, we did all through that time. The only person who pulled it back was Trump to try and manipulate them to help him win an election.
This is another economic war with another economic foe. And so we're
Why is Russia an economic foe? I'm serious. Russia makes fucking nothing. The oil and gas market that they have is not something the United States is getting into. We don't want to liquefy our natural gas and sell it to Europe. It doesn't make sense. It's not necessary. There are enough candidates for its use, and we sell it back into our own market at the market cost. But this would jack the price up, and the government wouldn't be in the business of jacking that price up for our providers at the expense of the citizenry. The balancing act would be dumb.
Pretending we're fighting for liberty and to save Ukrainian people when we're actually
Fighting for Nazis.
instigating them to invade Ukraine, so we can use that as an excuse to ramp up our sanctions.
Yes, that's what it was. We're never going to be able to ramp up our sanctions unless... Is there a way we can get Russia to carpet bomb civilian areas, set up minefields around kindergartens, and attack the capital of a sovereign country? Yeah, we can do that. How? How do we get them to do that? We wait. You sure we don't have to do anything? We don't have to add do we have to add anti-ballistic missile systems into Ukraine? No. Do we have to renew the call for them to be in NATO or anything? Do we have to do a big thing to get them to sign up for NATO? Nah, that was 8 years ago. Nobody gives a shit.
And commit an economic war that involves a real war. That's what we're doing. And it's all right here in this paper, and nobody ever talks about it.
Dude, okay, first of all, there's no fucking way Jimmy read the entire RAND Corporation report that he's referencing. I don't buy it for a fucking second. He's pulling the pieces that she probably put on her page.
Let me bring in Jackson. Why do you think nobody ever talks about this paper?
Well, it's extremely damning. You know, it's the same way that they never bring up the leaked
By the way, this is the guy who's speaking at the Lyndon LaRouche gathering.
cables from WikiLeaks that show William Burns was fomenting an ambition to destabilize Russia through a war in the Donbass back in 2008. They don't bring up this stuff because it highlights the fact that this is not a quote unquote illegal Russian invasion that came out of nowhere. This was coordinated and planned and orchestrated for many.
Yeah, it was illegal and murderous and disgusting and awful, but we made them do it. The United States put a short skirt on Ukraine and made them walk through a bad neighborhood in the middle of the night. That's what we did. And how is Russia supposed to pass that up? What are they supposed to do? Be moral? Be gentlemanly?
Years.
And it's right here in black and white. Look at this.
It's purple, actually.
Look at this. This is from that report.
This is from it. Encouraging domestic protests and other nonviolent resistance would focus on distracting or destabilizing the Russian regime and reducing the likelihood that it would pursue aggressive actions abroad. But the risks are high and it would be difficult for Western governments to directly increase the incident intensity of anti-regime.
This is what they...
Elizabeth, encouraging domestic protests and other nonviolent resistance would focus on distract. Is he going to read? See the but down here? But the risks are high, and it would be difficult for Western governments to increase the incidence of intensive anti-regime activities. But it would be difficult to do that. All right.
Wanted the United States to do encouraging domestic protests, meaning protests inside Russia, and other nonviolent resistance.
Those fuckers, the CIA with their nonviolent resistance movements
would focus on distracting or destabilizing the Russian regime.
By the way, distracting the red text. The RAND Corporation didn't do that. Jimmy made the red text. He Jesusizes anything that's in it.
And reducing the likelihood that it would pursue Isn't that what they...
Look, wait a minute. What? Wait. Look at this motherfucker. You can't stop reading the quote you put on right before the but, you butt. Fucking hell.
Said Russia did to the United States during the 2016 election.
Yeah, so this might be revenge. I don't know.
that they fomented discord with
They did.
their $50,000 in Facebook ads?
Yeah, that wasn't it alone, but
And that they caused us to hate each other and tried to destabilize us? But isn't that what they said Russia did? And that's bad? But here we are planning to do it to another.
no, that's the Rand Corporation saying there are ways you could do it. This is one of the possibilities, but it would have a cost. They're gaming it out.
Country. But the risks are high, and it would be difficult for Western governments to directly increase the incidence of or intensity of anti-regime activities in Russia.
Unless,
So interfering with internal operations.
look, again, it's literally like having a bunch of people sitting around a table going, what if this happened? And then this happened. And would it trigger this? It's the chess making. That's what the Rand Corporation does for a fucking living.
In an attempt to destabilize another country. Who wrote this study? Putin? This is what we're the bad guys.
We're the bad guys. Because a country, this is the logic that I'm seeing, the country that would conscript murderers and the Wagner group and Russians, and tell their own soldiers, by the way, that they're only on an exercise, and then force them into an invasion of a country that many of them have family in, and attack a capital, like apropos of fucking nothing. No, nothing happened the day before. There was no Gulf of Tonkin. There was no Pearl Harbor that caused this. This was just Putin's decision. He put people at the border before, and this was no different until he actually went through. And apparently that Putin, who's the kind of guy who would do this, and apparently who's easily duped into doing this at the same time, whose murderous response to a non-triggered event, an optional war of choice. There was no trigger point. It was just a matter of time. That people before that were like, this motherfucker keeps talking about attacking Ukraine, and he's gonna do it. And we could wait until then to fight this dude in a bloody battle, or is there a way that we could kind of point this out early and his own people will take him out? And not even kill him. That's, by the way, this is distracting or destabilizing it so that there is less likely that they would have an attack.
The United States are the bad guys. The United States are the bloodthirsty warmongers for...
Jimmy, move to Russia then, man. Do a White Knights. I mean, how can you keep giving your millions of tax dollars or hundreds of thousands of tax dollars from your media empire to this bloodthirsty regime? Your tax dollars are being used for horrible atrocities. I think the only answer is move to Russia.
Profit. The United States are the world's terrorists.
Again. And why are we the world's terrorists? Are we the world's terrorists because of Vietnam or even the Iraq war? Were we the world's terrorists on this level when we were in Afghanistan, or is it just that Biden's gotten us out? We're the world's terrorists because the Rand Corporation wrote a paper gaming out whether or not that you could destabilize the Russian regime through nonviolent means. And nonviolent terrorists. We're the worst nonviolent terrorists in the world. We terrorize you into raping your neighbor. That's why Putin sent Wagner into Somalia to cut the bellies of pregnant women open.
It's not El
We scared him into it.
It's not El Nusra. It's not anybody except the United States.
Okay, by the way, the serious issues, this is an inserious man. He doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. So let's not get too wrapped up in getting upset at what he's saying, because he's also it's a circle jerk. Most of his followers are bots. You've got some hardcore former TYT, MAGA commies, right? that watch the show, but that's pretty much it.
So let me, Craig, would you like?
Craig, bail me out here.
What would you like to say about this RAND document?
What would you like to say about this RAND document? But tell us, Craig.
Well, first of all, they're just a think tank, so there's just a coincidence that everything happened the way it did. I guess is what they're trying to tell us. And we
It's just a coincidence. So are there other think tanks that were also paid by the Army that argued a different point? That everybody gamed out one part of it, or some were for it or against it, or what the ultimate conclusion was? Because what he keeps reading is the mitigatory acts. If they did this, it might do this. If they don't do this, it might do that.
we learned a lot about this. And people who pay attention to Ukraine for quite some time, 2014, right?
When 2014, when they had a totally democratic system and the government came in and deposed it by the Ukrainians rising up and getting rid of a Russian sock puppet.
All the information beforehand. We understood who Victoria Nuland, working with Jeffrey Pyatt when they were handing out cookies on the Maidan, who they would have as the next leader. And that person was the next leader. And they even said, the other guy that was, I believe, was Vitaly
Yatsenyuk.
Klitschko. No, let's
Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev.
keep him over here. So everything happened the way it said it would happen. And this also reminds me a lot.
No, it didn't. The person who stepped in was the opposition leader. Yeah, Yanukovych offered Yatsenyuk a position as like PM in his government. And the guy said no, because he wasn't going to give Yanukovych the cover of true democracy when he was the leader of this actual movement to try and stabilize and decouple Ukraine from Russia so it could be a sovereign country and move ahead with ties to the European Union and regular trade stuff and have their own sovereignty without, more attacks and all this kind of stuff. And Yanukovych said, was trying to fold this guy in, fold Yatsenyuk into his group. And Yatsenyuk said, fuck you. And then after Yanukovych fucked off, and he lives in Russia now under Putin's guard, the obvious choice for the next person, there were two people that were basically vying for it, was Yatsenyuk, and then Poroshenko afterwards.
A lot of Wesley Clark. Remember Wesley Clark talked about he got the information. Oh, it's just worse. It's not just Iraq. We're going to go into...
Yeah, this was the Seven Nation. This is a project for New American Century. Totally unrelated, and also something, by the way, that they were doing, that the PNAC was doing under the table, and the rest of America wasn't for it.
Syria, Libya, Lebanon, this country, that country. So, a lot of times I question why this information comes out. Like, it seems like it's a...
I see. So this is conspiratorial in this way. Why does the RAND story come out after it? Because it's publicly available. It's been publicly available.
Controlled release of information. So
no, it's not controlled release. What Jimmy's doing is controlled release. You fuck.
I try to look at things that way. Like,
yeah, like what's behind the whole, like when you look at it, like, why do we even know this, man? Why are these particular words going into my brain right now?
Why are they telling this right now when they're clear?
They're not. Caitlin Johnstone brought it up because she's trying to save her flagging bullshit Ukraine takes.
Are caught, fomenting and planning a war before time.
It's fomenting, and that's not what happened. And even the shit he's read so far is mitigatory.
So I that's the thing that I struggle with is like
logic, reason, words, grammar, syntax.
Why are they showing this?
Why is Jimmy showing me this? Why are this fucker thinks that those words were read on the colored red on the paper that Jimmy found? That I mean that's clearly what's happening.
Get a hold of this.
Look at the stuff that they recommended. Reposturing bombers within easy striking range of key Russian strategic targets.
You got to move that out of the way. Possible air and space cost. something.
Reposturing fighters
Yeah, move them out of the way, dum-dum.
so that they are closer
Possible air and space cost-imposing measures.
to their targets than bombers. Deploying additional tactical nuclear weapons to locations in Europe and Asia.
None of which happened.
Repositioning U.S. and allied ballistic missile defense systems to better engage Russian ballistic missiles.
Which also didn't happen.
And goad Russia into a costly arms race by breaking out of the nuclear arms control regime.
Which, hold on one second. God damn. So, the START treaty between the U.S. and Russia on measures for the further reduction of limiting strategic offensive arms, also known as the New START Treaty, enhances U.S. national security. This is entered into February 5th, 2011, goes through 2026. Now, the Trump, hold on. Comes in, yeah. This is when, yeah. Let's see, use control, extend solar to 2021. Okay. Where is he? Did it go in an INF treaty? Yeah. There you go. Fire design, Russian. This is 20. Where's the article? When's the time on this? Yeah. So this is October of 2020. U.S. rebuffs Putin bid to extend nuclear arms pact for a year. With negotiations for a 5-year extension stalled, the Russian president's proposal puts pressure on who? To salvage an Obama-era accord. I'm sorry, who? Russia on Friday proposed extending a soon-to-expire nuclear arms treaty for 1 year without any changes, a move seen in Washington as a tactic to delay action on the treaty until after the American presidential election. Trump administration swiftly dismissed Moscow's proposal as a, quote, non-starter. Now, again, this RAND issue that he brought up, it started in 2019. Let me show you that. Here you go. February 3rd, 2021. This is after Biden has been sworn in. U.S. extends sole nuclear arms control agreement with Russia. We reversed that shit. Trump was the one pushing, if anything, pushing us towards war with Russia, if that's the fucking argument of that last bit of the RAND part. But Biden came in and went, no, talk to them. Let's get it together. Let's extend it. So fucking stupid. Goad Russia into a costly arms race. And it totally happened, except it didn't.
Mm-hmm. More stuff they wanted to do. Increasing U.S. forces in Europe, increasing European NATO members, ground capabilities, and deploying a large... This is also they can goad Russia into doing...
Asshole, they didn't do this until after Russia attacked. You know what? Technically speaking, from the RAND Corporation's point of view, maybe if we'd have done this before, Russia wouldn't have done it.
Doing what they did...
They would have anyways.
In Ukraine, so we could have a proxy war. So we could beat them. So then we can then institute economic sanctions, and we could have them. We could beat them economically.
Yes, because we'll never be able to beat Russia economically with their entire economy. Italy, you're next. Your economy is bigger than Russia's, and America, there can be only one.
That's all. So we can sell more liquefied natural gas to Europe.
This is all a plot to sell LNG to from Qatar. Because Qatar's the bigger supplier, the bigger new supplier now. No. We didn't start a war in Ukraine to sell LNG to Europe because Ukraine has liquid natural gas, you fuck. They will sell it.
We're the terrorists. Most of the options discussed, including those listed here, are in some sense escalatory, and most would likely prompt some Russian counter-escalation. That's what they want.
Who's they, motherfucker?
Thus, besides the specific risks associated with each option, there is additional risk attached to a generally intensified, yeah, you mean like a fucking war?
There. All right, now he's getting mad at them for having a reasonable paragraph. The Rand Corporation discusses these things. This is so stupid.
And our economy getting crushed the way it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. Aren't you mad about its inflation's caused by this Ukraine war because we started it so that America could make more money so we could be rich and impoverish our people?
Finally, although Russia will bear the cost of this increased competition less easily than the United States will, both sides will have to divert national resources from other purposes. We're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I took away from that paragraph.
On purpose.
Yeah, that's what it is. America wants Russia's 36% of Europe's natural gas market for the next 10 years until they convert largely to renewables or nuclear, just so we can impoverish our own citizens. What? Who believes this shit? I mean, ultimately, does any other word he says mean anything? No. The entirety of his conversation is based on the idea that America is the terrorists. That's all everything else is just artificial. It's like straw man documentation for his premise.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? Mm-hmm. Who was
on Ukraine? This is what Rand said.
Rand Paul?
Proxy competition of this sort is not new. The renewal of such maneuvering marks a return to a...
Well, wait a minute. Hold on one second, if I may. Where are we? 7:33. I got to see something real quick. 1 second, if I may. Extending Russia. Rand Corp. Now, why are they, let's see, full document, PDF. Look, give me that sweet PDF situation. Okay, and Control plus, so I can scroll this over and show you guys. Oops, hold on, back up. There we go. And I have to, okay. This is the paper that we're looking at right here, just so you know. Can I just say 7:33? 1 second. Where were we? 7:25. That's close enough. Here we go. All right. Such proxy competition. Now he's not putting page numbers, and this is a 354-page report. It's also been publicly available. For more information on this publication, visit rand.org and then the thing right there. Copyright 2019, Rand Corporation. This has been publicly available since 2019. This report documents research and analysis conducted as part of the Rand Corporation research project Extending Russia, Competing from an Advantageous Ground, sponsored by the Army Quadrennial Defense Review Office, Offices of the Deputy Chief of Staff, the G8, headquarters, and the Department of Army. The purpose of this project was to examine a range of possible means to extend Russia. By this, we mean nonviolent measures that could stress Russia's military or economy or the regime's political standing at home and abroad. The steps we post would not have either defense or deterrence as their prime purpose, though they might contribute to both. Rather, these steps are conceived as of measures that would lead Russia to compete in domains or regions where the United States has a competitive advantage, causing Russia to overextend itself militarily or economically, or causing the regime to lose domestic and or international prestige and influence. The report deliberately covers a wide range of military, economic, and political policy options. Its recommendations are directly relevant to everything from military modernization and force posture to economic sanctions and diplomacy. Consequently, It speaks to all the military services, other parts of the U.S. government that have a hand in foreign policy and the broader foreign and defense policy audience. This is what they're paid to do. This is what they came up with. Now, there is I'm going to see if I can search this out. On Ukraine, let's see, is there where do I search this? Got to be a search word for it. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it in there. Let's see. Search. Proxy competition. Whoops. Whoops. Competition. I can type. And Ukraine. Let's see that. Search there. Go all the way back to 2019. Method assuming this. Okay, hold on. Proxy competition, Ukraine war. Should we do I need another search word. So, overextending Russia, something like that. No matches found. Son of a bitch. You guys, all right. I gotta open this as a PDF. Hold on. Download it, and then save it in documents. There you go. And then open it. Give me a second. There's a reason for this. Work with me. Work with me. Brace yourself. Brace yourself. Okay. Opening up this. I hope. There we go. Now, search. Okay, here we go. Now we got, aha. Now, search. For a word in there. Search in this site. Search. So, okay, so proxy competition. Hold on. I want to search the document, stupid. There we go. Proxy competition. Yeah, here you go. All right. So, okay. Because there's a ... there. So, proxy competition of this sort is not new, right? That's the ... So, give me a second. And, blow this up. Control plus. There we go. Proxy competition of this sort is not new. Indeed, the Great Game characterized interstate relations of several countries as aspirant global powers clashed over conflicting spheres of influence. The renewal of such maneuvering marks a return to form of geopolitical competition that, as some analysts argue, took a brief hiatus after the end of the Cold War, when the United States was left as the lone superpower and the ideology of liberal democracy seemed to reign supreme. Now, which part? Renewal of geopolitical argues end of Cold War in the United States seemed to reign supreme. He's going to take reign supreme out of this. Indeed, the Great Game characterized interstate relationships for several centuries as aspirant global powers clashed over conflicting spheres of influence. So he took out the fact that a bunch of other countries, that it was multiple countries doing this. That's crucial to this. Just for the record. Here you go. And the top of it, by the way, before this starts, Russia Today, which is Jimmy's favorite television network, is far less extended than the old Soviet Union. Its domestic population is much more homogenous, with ethnic Russians composing more than 77% of its population. Its external commitments are far more limited, comprising only small bits of Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, and a larger portion of Syria. That's why you didn't read the paragraph before. It does face active opposition, however, both in eastern Ukraine and Syria. The United States has provided limited support to Russia's opponents in both countries and might do more, thereby driving up Russia's costs. And again, these are all suggestions, but we'll see.
Said
he's gonna like the phrase "reign supreme."
Competition of this sort is not new. The renewal of such maneuvering.
Yeah. Why don't you put that thing about like several countries do proxy competition, right?
Marks a return to a form of geopolitical competition that some analysts argue took a brief hiatus after the end of the Cold War, when the United States was left as the lone superpower and the ideology of liberal democracy seemed to reign supreme. The United States
could also become more vocal in its support for NATO membership of Ukraine, which it didn't. Hold on one second. Hold on. I'll look this up real quick. Back here. NATO's, this should be a requirement for unanimity. Where are they? Okay, come on. NATO's require. Let's go. Let's see. Do we search the whole thing? 0. Hold on. All right. I'm not going to be able to find where this page is from what he's put up. The United States could also become more vocal in its support for NATO membership for Ukraine, which we have not done.
Could also become more vocal in its support for NATO members for Ukraine. It's every fucking thing they've said in this paper we've done.
No, we haven't. Nobody in the last, since Biden took over, certainly, and certainly not during fucking Trump, talked about the U.S. being more vocal for Ukraine to join NATO. Nonsense.
Just a coincidence, Jimmy.
Oh, by the way, wait, why'd you skip the rest of that shit? Hold on. I know this is annoying, but NATO's requirement makes it unlikely that Ukraine could gain membership in the foreseeable future because Russia has invaded part of its territory and it has a border dispute there and the Russian-controlled area in Moldova. Washington's pushing this possibility could boost Ukrainian resolve while leading Russia to redouble its efforts to forestall such a development. So there's a plus and a minus. It's almost as if they're doing this thing.
For Ukraine. It's every fucking thing they've said in this paper we've done.
No, we haven't. Like, we literally haven't.
Just a coincidence, Jimmy.
Craig, an increase in U.S. security assistance to Ukraine would likely lead to a commensurate increase in both Russian aid to the separatists and Russian military forces in Ukraine, thus sustaining the conflict at a somewhat higher level of intensity.
I love how it's like he's discovering this. They're gaming the entire thing. Okay. Increase in U.S. security assistance. An increase in U.S. security assistance. Hold on. God damn it. Why is this? Open up, you bastard. Hold on. Why will it not? I guess you have to go back to page 1. Oh. I wish you would put fucking page numbers on this shit. Because I can't tell if they're talking about, because it looks like they're talking about in the event of a fight, what do you do in the event of a fight? Because it's a fucking 354-page document. Bulgaria. Fourth option is to expand LNG import facilities. I don't think he's going to cover this part. A fourth option is to expand LNG import facilities. There are two basic types of infrastructure-related LNG, liquefaction facilities, which supply the market, and regasification facilities, which receive the supply. Particular type of regasification facility. Yeah. So we wanted the LNG program so much that we didn't want to do the fourth option, I guess. On the other side of the market, export capacity has expanded. The way that exports are sold has also changed the way the adds flexibility to the market. God damn it. On and on. Second, Europe would also need more gas storage, especially near the areas of high demand. Storages. Yeah, so they obviously didn't plan for that part. Good Lord.
They're literally planning out how to do a war.
No, they aren't. Well, that's what the RAND Corporation does. They game out the possibilities. What happens? If this happens, then this happens. What happens if this happens? That's what they're paid to do. There's also a group going, all right, how do we not do it? State Department, for example. The Army fixes on a war. All right, if there is a war, what does it look like? How do we get fixed? Is he going to read any State Department diplomacy stuff about how to increase treaties? No.
For
I was
profit.
listening.
Go ahead.
I was listening to the Oliver Stone Putin interviews last night.
Well, this dude's Pornhub search results are fucked up.
And it was so funny because it just everything traces back to U.S. escalation.
Well, no, that's everything Oliver Stone says is traced back to that.
He's discussing the fact that, like, you know, the U.S. pulled out of the ballistic missiles agreement we had, and if they do something, we're going to have an equal and counter response. And Oliver Stone asked Putin, you know, hypothetically, if there was like a war in your territory between Western proxies and you guys, who would the U.S. win? And Putin just said no, they would not win. Now we all knew this was going to happen. Putin said it. Rand said it.
What the fuck do you think he's going to say?
Burns said it.
By the way, if you ask Vladimir Putin if in a war with any country in the world, if China waged war on Russia, and we know this won't happen, whatever, do you think China would win? What the fuck do you think Putin's going to say?
They all knew this, but it's
have a contest for subscribers. Okay, Julie, that's a good idea.
Just going to make a bunch of money for the MIC.
Mm-hmm.
The military-industrial complex. So, yeah.
And by the way, the nuclear treaty that was
the military-industrial complex of Turkey, and in the case of Russia, Iran and North Korea.
That was trying to be extended when Tulsi Gabbard was trying to extend it. Guess who shot it down? Liz Cheney and Seth Moulton.
I just want to show you, this is my last thing I'll show you on this, to show you how much they don't give a shit about people. So
this is the part you like?
Such escalation might...
Hold on. Alternatively, Russia might counter-escalate, committing more troops and pushing them deeper into Ukraine. Such escalation might extend Russia. Eastern Ukraine is already a drain. Taking more of Ukraine might over-increase the burden, albeit at the expense of Ukrainian people.
Extend Russia. Eastern Ukraine is already a drain. Taking more of Ukraine might only increase the burden, albeit at the expense of the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, but Putin doesn't give a fuck.
Hey, so the Ukrainian people are going to get effed in this. But, you know, you got to break a few eggs, huh?
No, all right. Oh, God, this is so annoying and boring and stupid. Ugh. All right. Wait, where's this one? Okay, hold on. Grab this. Clear that out. Do this. Such escalation. Might. Where is it? Oh, why won't you search better, stupid PDF stuff? Mac is far better. PC, what is wrong with you, PC? Like, God damn it. Okay, hold on. Search. Hold on. Okay, turn up the inspector. All right, God damn it. Alternatively, again, he's talking from mid-battle stuff. So they go through 4 possible options. They game all 4 options out for the best case scenario. They go, if this happens, it'd be bad, but this would be worse. If this part might work, but if it'll be at this cost. That's the language of these fucking documents. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. Let's just give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Let me blow this up a little bit. This is, if I was just to needle drop this document, check this piece out, just this paragraph, this section. Posturing fighters close to Russia's borders could have effects similar to posturing bombers at more distant bases, but would carry greater risk. U.S. and European leaders would be less inclined to position nuclear weapons at these locations because of the stability concerns their proximity would raise and the need to rotate the fighters among multiple locations. This would still confront Russia with a heightened conventional threat that could cause its leader to invest more in upgrading the IADS. However, with the fighters deployed to locations in range of much higher numbers of Russian ballistic and cruise missiles, Moscow might be inclined to rely more heavily on countering the fighter threat by striking those airfields, even if they are dispersed and the aircraft rotated among them. As in the bomber option, U.S. leaders might try to keep some percentage of fighters airborne throughout a crisis, but given the need for each aircraft to fly multiple sorties during a conventional conflict, Russian leaders would probably be confident that they could destroy a considerable number of fighters on the ground and shut down their deployment airfields early on with little or no addition to their missile inventory. Even if Moscow were to decide to add some number of missiles to its inventory, that response would probably be less expensive than upgrading its IADS, offering the United States little benefit in return for the increased risk of crisis instability. Repositioning BMD assets in Europe, like this is what they do. The whole fucking document is this fucking ping pong match of if we do this, this might happen. Alternatively, taking some of these things might lead to this. And if you do this, there's a chance of this. It's just all like this whole fucking paper should just be called for your consideration. And Jimmy thinks that by actively selecting elements of it and ignoring the parts that are mitigatory against those measures, they're calling for those measures outright.
Sell some liquefied natural gas to Europe. Huh?
Well, option 4 is to just do that instead.
So they know who they're punishing, and they don't give a shit because it's not them.
No, it's telling you that doing this and this, taking more of Ukraine might only increase the burden, albeit at the expense of the Ukrainian people. That's Russia making that decision. Because eastern Ukraine is already a drain. And taking on Ukraine, taking more land would be an even bigger burden, which it ultimately was at the expense of the Ukrainian people, which they don't give a fuck about.
They said we're going to fight to the last Ukrainian, by the way, and they are.
I gotcha. The Russians also said they would wipe out the existence of Ukrainians from the fucking map forever, from history. They don't exist.
They even said it. They even know. They go, such a move might also come at a significant cost to Ukraine and the U.S. prestige and credibility. This could produce disproportionately large Ukrainian casualties, territorial losses, and refugees. All of that is happening.
No, it isn't. They just regained a lot of the territory. They never lost the capital. The refugees largely returned, except the ones who are down in the Donbass specifically, where the Russians took the territory.
It might even lead Ukrainian into a disadvantageous peace.
Right, meaning having to give up more land to Ukraine than they are, or to Russia than they already have. And by the way, he thinks disadvantageous peace is like an oxymoron. Is the idea, which is like, look. Sure, you got raped, but you did get shot. And so you got, a gun held to your head, but it could have been worse. You could have been in a shallow grave.
And that is happening now, too, because there was a potential for peace in April, and the West killed it.
No, we didn't. And he's talking about Boris Johnson nonsense. There was no such thing. That's just goofy.
And now Russia is like, hey, we're done. You had your chance to negotiate. Now we're just going to do it the way we're going to bomb your infrastructure. We're going to take out your power. We're going to fuck you up now.
Yeah, which is what you do to Nazis.
We gave you a chance.
We gave you a chance, and now we're going to do what we were always going to do. Why don't you just let us take over your country we're the kind of people who will just bomb your infrastructure for not letting us take it. I don't understand this shit at all.
And you kept listening to NATO, and you wouldn't negotiate, and now you're going to pay the price. Who? Ukraine. The people of Ukraine.
I think he thinks he's saying something.
Anything you like to add before we say goodbye?
Yeah, no, I don't. These folks. I want to hear what these assholes kick in at the. This was always meant to be a way. Where's Kurt? Kurt didn't write any jokes on a piece of paper for you.
Yeah, just remember when Bojo said no to Zelensky back then in April. That's what I'm remembering.
That's what he's talking about. Boris Johnson, talked him out of the peace deal by saying, and this was the way they supposedly talked. Like, if you guys make a deal with Russia, we're not going to make a deal with Russia. We're still going to view it as an abject war that they declared on you. So we're not going to ease up. Secondly, we don't trust them. Neither should you.
When who said no?
Boris Johnson, fucko.
Bojo, Boris Johnson. They said they wanted
yes.
to get a peace agreement. Boris Johnson went over there, but there was so many people that said no. It wasn't just Boris Johnson.
Right.
Yes, the entire West was going, are you out of your fucking mind? They just invaded you. Don't let them salami slice across your country. They're going to take more territory later. They have said they want to wipe you off the map.
It was everybody.
Why wouldn't people just let Germany take Poland, set up Auschwitz, and call it a day?
Biden said no. Bojo said no. So it's
and what's the more believable thing? That maybe those folks don't want Ukrainians to be wiped off the map, or that the people who say openly they want to destroy Ukraine are actually the heroes in this story.
It's a shame because the Ukrainian people, and is this any different than what they did to in Afghanistan when they pumped a bunch of money into the Mujahideen to fight the Russians, to drain them? We have a history of doing this.
Yes, it's very different.
Contra.
Iran-Contra is not the same thing.
We don't care.
Rando government conspiracy things. Iran-Contra was an illegal action by a single U.S. president. It wasn't fucking policy.
We don't give a damn.
We don't give a damn. We don't care. If we cared, we wouldn't have supplied arms to the Mujahideen at the time and just let Russia destroy 75% of the towns and villages in Afghanistan.
This is what we do.
The only difference is Ukraine's about to have a very cold winter.
Yes.
As is all of Europe.
Yes, totally. A very cold winter. They're going to be burning their own children for heat while the Russians party like it's Moscow.
I wonder when these people are going to stand up against this shit. They're just
why won't they? They are standing up, fucko.
letting their leaders do this, and everyone sees what's happening.
Do they? Do they all see what's happening? Or are you guys in a circle jerk thinking you're getting laid?
It's nuts. Ukraine is if you're pro-Ukraine war, you're a dupe, and you're drinking propaganda.
All right. I guess that's all of us. And by the way, I don't know anybody that's pro-Ukraine war. I'm pro-Ukraine in this war. I would argue even at this point, I am anti-Russia, considering how they are. Nobody's pro-Ukraine war. Except Jimmy, of course, who wants Russia to win, along with this fucker. And I don't even know the other dude's new. I don't know who he is. But he just seems to be the stunt Kurt Metzger in this situation. Say something vaguely like a chip of shit out of a pile of manure from some right-wing pro-Russian YouTube video that he watched, that he half watched. And he's like, there's something about, you know what I mean? How dare we even, am I right? Snowden, that kind of shit.
All right, everybody, check out our friend Craig Pasta on the Convo Couch. And on
the Convo Couch. Is that like the casting couch, but boring? It's worse. I came to audition and he made me sit down on the couch and bored the shit out of me. This is not what I thought was going to happen.
his new morning show, what's it called?
It's called AM Wake Up.
AM.
It's called AM Wake Up. And you and you worked on that, that's what's the thing called that you do that I don't give a fuck about? Your head's blocking the name of your show. What's the thing you do that there's a thing you do, right? We want to give you a big shout out. What was just plug anything you want. Let me eat
Wake up. All right. And everybody check out the dive with Jackson Hinkle.
Yeah, he'll be with the Lyndon LaRouche crowd arguing for sovereign citizens' right to squat in people's homes while they're still there. It's sort of like the BTK killer if he was a real estate agent.
And tonight he's going to be interviewing Alex Stein. So everybody.
Is that the bastard son of Alex Jones and Jill Stein? I can't wait.
Check that out.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to do it. Let me be abundantly clear. None of that was valuable conversation at all. It made no impact on the circumstances. None of the people watch the show. And again, Jimmy has 1 million YouTube subscribers. 1 million. Yes, this is me guilting you into subscribing. 1 million. Nah, I'm kidding. It's like 500,000 or something, isn't it? I don't know. Anyways, point being, Russell Brand, all these guys, they get a shit ton of views. Now, are they legit views? Are they real people? Or are they bot views? Hard to say. I would argue they're largely puffery. A lot of like Russian watch farms. Seriously. But that piece, the occasion that we dip into that stuff is, I think got some value for our dear friend Carlos Alazraqui, who does the Lord's work on Twitter, fucking with Jimmy all the time because Jimmy does his whole we live in a uniparty system, two legs in the same pair of pants, blah-de-de, blah-de-de, fucky blah.